Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles' win over the Athletics in Game 1 of this series. The Orioles win this game 3-2 in a low-scoring, tight, close game over the A's. Obviously, as we know, the A's are a young hitting team with a bunch of young superstars, guys like Nick Kurtz and Brent Rooker. Well, Brent Rooker isn't necessarily young, but he's been good this year. Max Muncy, whenever he was healthy, was doing great over there. Another young player for the A's. And Jacob Wilson, who's hurt right now for the A's. But the A's are a nice, fun team. They've been a really cool little storyline this year. They don't have a great record, but they have been, going out there this year and putting up really good offensive performances. Kind of reminds me of, not necessarily the offensive-wise, but it kind of reminds me like the Orioles in 2023, or even in 2022, when people could see that they were like a young team that had potential, but they just couldn't win a lot of games. It kind of reminds me of that. But the Orioles do win today, 3-2 over the A's. It was a close win, close game. The Orioles offense got started early on in this game, and they didn't score for the rest of the game. They got the scoring started early in the first inning, and then they actually didn't score for the rest of the game, but it was enough to get the win thanks to Tomoyuki Sugano, and he had a great performance today. He got through 7 innings of work, gave up only 1 run across 7 innings, had some strikeouts in there as well. Really wasn't too much traffic either, but Tomoyuki Sugano had an amazing outing. He's really started to stack on some really good outings here recently for the Orioles. And then obviously the offense did all of its stuff early, but the bullpen was also able to come in and limit the damage, only giving up 1 run from the bullpen. But the Orioles were able to go out there and win this game. Keegan Aiken went out there and got the save, and all was well in Birdland. So let's just go over this Orioles game. So going over the A's and Orioles game, again, the Orioles win this game 3-2 over the A's. The Orioles record moves to 53-63 on the season, back to being 10 games below 500. And the Orioles also have a winning record at home, which is also kind of nice to see. But going over this game in general, the Orioles hitting was not there at all. The offense really wasn't there at all either. This game pretty much fully goes on to the pitching, so shout out to Tomoyuki Sugano, shout out to Yennier Cano, and shout out to Keegan Aiken. Cano gave up a run in 1 inning, but Aiken got the save, and Sugano only gave up 1 across 7 innings of work. So shout out Tomoyuki Sugano. He is 100% the player of the game in this game. But going over the hitting, the Orioles in this game only had 3 total hits in this game. Yes, 3 total hits across 9 innings. They had 2 hits out in the first inning, and we'll go over that scoring in just a second, kind of who scored who. But 3 total hits for the Orioles. 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position, and left 2 guys on base. So not a whole lot going on with the Orioles offense. The A's only had 7 total hits, but they scored 2 runs on those 7 hits. They went 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position and left 7 on base. So the A's had more opportunities than the Orioles to score runs, but the Orioles pitching was the difference in this game. But going over to the hitting, Jackson Holliday was leading off this game, and he does not have a great game today. He went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Not a great game from him. He has been struggling a little bit here recently. If you go to his past games, he's really just not putting up great performances overall on offense. It's not really something to be worried about. Again, we've seen how good he's been this year. We've seen how good he's been for the Orioles. The average is dropping a little bit, but again, this guy's 21 years old. He's shown us so much potential already as a leadoff hitter. I don't know if, Tony Mansolino for this season or whoever our manager is next year moving forward, I don't know if he's going to continue to be the leadoff guy, I would think. But he has been struggling a little bit of a slump right now for Jackson, but that's okay. Again, he is young. He's still so much time to improve, and we all know that Jackson Holliday has the potential to be a true superstar for this Orioles team. This is really his first full season, and he's done solid this year, throughout the year. So, some bad games here and there aren't going to be too worrying. But Jordan Westburg goes 0 for 4 in this game with 2 strikeouts, and again, there was only 3 hits in this Orioles game. There was 3 different players that had the 3 hits. and we're about to get into them right now. Gunnar Henderson in this game went 1 for 2 with a run scored and a walk, so he got on base twice. Adley Rutschman went 1 for 2 with a walk and a 2-run homer in the first inning. In the first inning, Gunnar Henderson drew a walk, and then Adley Rutschman brought him home with a 2-run homer to start the Orioles scoring for the day. Adley Rutschman, 2-run homer. And something I'm going to say about Adley, he has been playing pretty fantastic since he has come back from that IL stint. Again, he was out of the Orioles lineup for a little over a month. He came back, and he has been kind of on fire for the Orioles since he's come back. He's been playing a lot better. The average has gone up quite a bit. Whenever he went on IL, he was sitting at around like a low 200s average, and he's brought that all the way up to a 240 now and above a 400 slugging. So shout out to Adley Rutschman. He's been playing a lot better. He's sprinkled in some home runs in there as well. So Adley's starting to play like the guy that we know Adley Rutschman can be. Again, he's been in a slump for a pretty long time, but it looks like he might be starting to kind of slowly creep out of that. So that is very good to see from Adley moving forward throughout the season and obviously into 2026. And then Ryan Mountcastle, who came back today. The Orioles did make some moves. Speaking of Ryan Mountcastle coming back, the Orioles did make some pretty big moves today in terms of adjusting their lineup around and moving things around and doing all of that stuff. But it really started off this morning with Ryan Mountcastle being reinstated from the 60-day IL. Ryan Mountcastle has been gone for a little over 2 months from this Orioles lineup, but he is back, and in his first game back in the lineup, he was DHing today. He went 1 for 3 with a solo home run in this game. He actually went back-to-back with Adley Rutschman in the first inning because, again, the Orioles scored all 3 of their runs in the first inning, and all of the Orioles' runs were via an Adley Rutschman 2-run homer and a Ryan Mountcastle solo homer. So those were all the runs scored by the Orioles, and they happened to come back-to-back in the first inning. But Ryan Mountcastle, he is back. He is ready to go. I assume for a little bit, he's going to be DHing and playing first base with Kobe Mayo. I feel like they're just going to kind of swap DH and first base, and they're going to go back and forth. So both of these guys are going to get playing time. My biggest question, though, is whenever we do decide to call up Samuel Basallo, kind of what we're going to do with him, because we're not going to be able to play Mountcastle, Mayo, and Basallo all in the same game. I assume that we're going to give Samuel his chances, and I don't know if we're going to play Ryan Mountcastle that much. I think that we really want to hammer in and get Kobe Mayo those at-bats, get Kobe Mayo those reps, and then also get Basallo those reps as well once he gets called up. And I do think that whenever Samuel gets called up, I think we're going to do both him and Beavers at the same time or really, really close to each other. And that would be next week. I think it's going to happen because, again, August 15th is the day that we can call players up, and it won't affect their service years. So we can call up Samuel Basallo, we can call up Dylan Beavers, and it won't eat into their first year of their contract. So they're pretty much called up for like a month and a half of like not free baseball, but just baseball where it won't actually affect their contract. So they could come up this year, and then technically next year will be their first full rookie year on that contract. So I assume we're going to call up Basallo and Beavers at the same time, and we'll see what Mike Elias and Tony Mansolino wants to do with adjusting between Mountcastle, Mayo, and Basallo playing time. For as much as I love Ryan Mountcastle, and him hitting a home run today was really cool to see as well. As we know, just like guys like Cedric Mullins, just like guys like Anthony Santander and Austin Hayes and Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano and guys like that, Ryan Mountcastle is not really a part of the future of this team. We know that. And the first base spot is going to be either Kobe Mayo or Basallo. And they're going to swap off of DH and first base. Both of those guys are going to be part of this future because those guys are the future. And I think the Orioles understand that. And I just don't know how they're going to deal with the playing time between those three. But that's up to Mansolino. That's up to Mike Elias to figure out. But all I know is that Samuel Basallo very much deserves to get these reps once he gets called up to the majors. But it is still cool to see Ryan Mountcastle come out here and get a solo home run in his first game back. We also recalled Jordan Adams from AAA, who is an outfielder. We put Colton Cowser on the 7-day concussion list, and then we put Tyler O'Neill, Mr. General Soreness, over to the 10-day IL because of right wrist inflammation. So Tyler O'Neill and Colton Cowser, two of pretty much your everyday outfielders, are now on the IL. and it's pretty much very obvious now that Dylan Beavers' spot is more wide open than it's ever been before, because today the Orioles were running out there with Ryan Noda, Greg Allen, and Dylan Carlson out there. So not really again, these guys are not, none of these guys are part of the Orioles' future at all. None of these guys are. But Tyler O'Neill pretty much is like your everyday right fielder when he's actually healthy. Colton Cowser is your everyday left fielder, and then you've been having Dylan Carlson play center as we wait for, as we go out and wait for Dylan Beavers. But once Beavers gets called up, obviously he has a wide open spot right now at an outfield position. But the reason why Mike Elias has not called up Dylan Beavers yet is because him or Basayo is because he values the service time. He understand, he knows that these guys are part of their future, so he doesn't want to mess around with the service time. He wants to call them up when the time is right. He doesn't want to have to waste a year because he understands how important these guys are. Guys like Jeremiah Jackson and Jordan Adams, calling those guys up from AAA, and Jeremiah Jackson especially, who made his MLB debut. He's somebody that the Orioles don't view as a big part of their future. So calling him up early didn't really affect anything because he wasn't necessarily a big part of the future of this team. But a guy like Dylan Beavers, the Orioles look at him as a big part of their future, so they don't want to mess anything up with service time. So it makes sense from that end. Obviously, we want to see these guys up now, but waiting till August 15th and waiting till maybe a day after or a few days after or so, that is the smarter decision at the end of the day. That is the smart thing to do, is to wait. But we will be seeing these guys for sure before the end of the month, so that's going to be very, very fun to see. But whenever Dylan Beavers does come back, he has a wide open outfielder spot, so I cannot wait for that. But keep going, continuing on with this game. Ryan Noda didn't get a hit. Jordan Adams didn't get a hit. Kobe Mayo didn't get a hit, but he did get on base from a walk. Greg Allen didn't get a hit, and Dylan Carlson didn't get a hit. So the only three guys with hits in this game were Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and Ryan Mountcastle, and those guys were also all three of the runs scored in this game as well. So a pretty slow offensive day for the Orioles offense, but shout out to the pitching in this game. And speaking of the pitching and speaking of the player of the game, Tomoyuki Sagano, who gets credited the win in this game. He's 9-5 on the season with his record, a 9-5 record this season. Got through 7 innings of work, gave up 5 hits, 2 walks, and only 1 run across 7 innings. Had 4 strikeouts as well, a 91 pitch count across 7 innings. Didn't really get worked too much, a 4.2 ERA. His ERA has dropped quite a bit over these past few starts. But if you go over and look at Tomoyuki Sagano's stats recently, obviously last outing or today got through 7 innings, gave up 1 run. Then against the Cubs, he got through 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Not a necessarily crazy game, but not anything too bad. And then against Colorado, got through 6 innings, gave up 1 run. And then against Cleveland, it wasn't that good. 3 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. So really over the past 3 full starts, it's been pretty good for Tomoyuki Sagano. And he's starting to kind of turn his season around a little bit from his little time where things just really weren't going well in the middle of the year. But he's starting to kind of turn it around, so shout out to Tomoyuki Sagano for really, really holding it down in a close game today. Yennier Cano came in. He did give up a run, but thankfully it was only 1 run, and then Keegan Aiken went out there and got the save, the 3-out save in the top of the 9th inning. And the Orioles got the win, a 3-2 win, 10 games below 500. They move into Game 2 tomorrow. If they win tomorrow, they win the series. If they lose tomorrow, the series goes to Game 3. Well, the series is going to go to Game 3 anyway, but if the Orioles lose tomorrow, it's tied, and then Game 3 will be the rubber match and decider of the series. Tomorrow, it's not looking too good for the Orioles. They do got Brandon Young on the mound. Both pitchers for the A's and the Orioles, neither of them have a win so far for their team. Brandon Young 0-5 with a 5.88 ERA, and Jack Perkins 0-2 with a 3.97, pretty much a 4 ERA. So not a great showing of pitchers tomorrow in tomorrow's Orioles game, so there is a good chance that tomorrow's game might be a barn burner, an absolute slugfest, because today was a chill, low-scoring game. Tomorrow might be like a 20-plus run game combined by both teams. So tomorrow should be fun. Tomorrow is also the day that we are inducting Adam Jones and others into the Orioles Hall of Fame, so that's going to be super fun to watch. A very special day tomorrow in Camden Yards, and we cannot wait for that. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow up on Spotify. And make sure to follow the YouTube or follow the Instagram and follow the Twitter as well. On Twitter, I'm live tweeting every single sort of Orioles and Ravens news, live reactions to any sort of news that comes out, and live tweeting the games as well. So make sure to give that a follow. Make sure to give the Instagram a follow as well. And just make sure to tune into these episodes of Birds of a Feather. Football season is right around the corner. And yesterday's episode, I did go over the Ravens' first preseason game. It was the first football recap on this channel, and it went really well. So I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. There is still a lot of stuff coming up regarding Baltimore sports. Again, we're about to be moving into the Ravens season, which should be very exciting. And we should be getting Dylan Beavers and Samuel Basayo up getting called up very soon. So that's going to be very interesting to watch regarding the Orioles, and something that, you know, a lot of Orioles fans can really look forward to as we continue on through this season that, you know, we might want to forget. So overall, you know, great game today by the Orioles, a great win, and then tomorrow they're going for the series win, and it should be a pretty high-scoring game based on the pitchers that are pitching tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I have an episode up sometime tomorrow night talking about the Orioles and A's game 2. Hopefully the Orioles can win tomorrow, win the series, and then hopefully get the sweep this Sunday. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great Orioles day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.